Hey there folks, John aka Biddy Kong here, and if you've been listening to the retro gaming scene lately, then you know SEGA Forever is, well, this last week's big thing. So I wanted to give the apps a couple of days to work the kinks out before I actually downloaded them and actually tried to play them, but I went ahead and downloaded a few of them. I played around with them, and I just want to talk a little bit about the service itself and kind of what it is and are the games any good? I mean, that's the important part, right? So that's really what this video is about, so let's get started. Okay, so SEGA Forever, just in case you've been living under a retro gaming rock, basically SEGA Forever is a service that, it's not really even a service necessarily, more kind of a pledge or a commitment that SEGA has made over the past week. Well, really a couple weeks before that they announced it, I guess, but it's this recent pledge that SEGA has made to consistently release a bunch of their old games regularly for the next foreseeable future, whatever that is. So basically what the idea is, they have released several games, and I actually got a chance to download a few of them this weekend. And again, like I said, I wanted to give them a couple days to work out the bugs. I knew there was going to be a couple of them, so I went ahead and downloaded 3 games. Well, actually 4 games. I did the original Sonic the Hedgehog, which actually is not part of the SEGA Forever campaign. That was actually released a little while ago, but I went ahead and downloaded that as my control. It was my one that I knew, okay, SEGA, if they went ahead and they remaster something and they re-release it on a mobile device, it can be like this. And I knew that it ran well and everything like that. So I went ahead and downloaded that one, played it through again, just to mess with it and just to kind of give myself a meter to measure the other ones by. And then I downloaded 3 games. I downloaded Ultra Beast, Kid Chameleon, no, 4 games. Ultra Beast, Kid Chameleon, which I actually never played on the Genesis, Phantasy Star 2, and Comic Zone. Now, other than whatever it was, other than Kid Chameleon, I actually have a pretty good idea of what these games are supposed to sound like. I had them on my Genesis. I have played them on emulators. I kind of know what they're supposed to sound and look like. So just to get started, I'll just go ahead and hit Altered Beast first. And I mean, let's be honest, Altered Beast is not the most amazing game ever. I mean, it's a serviceable beat 'em up, but only just. It's super simple, and there's not a whole lot of complexity to it. The guys get weirdly muscular as you gather power-ups, which I guess is kind of funny. It's got some interesting little voice samples in it, which again is kind of funny. And it's just kind of this funny old relic of a game. But that said, I actually really enjoyed playing it. It really played like Ultra Beast on a cell phone. And just in case you're wondering, the cell phone I'm using, I'll go ahead and pull it out of my pocket, is actually a OnePlus One. It's a 3-year-old phone, so I wanted to go ahead and test on middling hardware. This is not great. It's not terrible. It's not the newest thing ever. But honestly, it seemed to handle everything just fine. And Ultra Beast played really well. So that one I was actually really happy with. It was just as corny and weird as usual, and that was great. The next one I hit was Phantasy Star 2, and that's a JRPG, so there was only so much I was going to get into that one just for the sake of this review, but it seemed like it ran pretty well. The sound sounded a little bit tinny to me for that one. I don't know, I haven't played the original one in a while. It wasn't enough to get on my nerves, but I don't think that's what it originally sounded like. But as far as the graphics go, as far as the gameplay, everything worked just the way I remember, and it looked really good. And then Kid Chameleon, again, I've never played that one before, but that one ran really smoothly. Interesting game. Not sure that I would actually play that one through, even as a retro gaming fan. I'm not sure that that's really the best of the bunch. But it's there, and some people like it, I'm sure. And if you like it, that's totally fine. I'm not knocking the game. It just wasn't really my thing. But the last one, the one that I was looking forward to the most, and I really, really, really wanted to be amazing, is Comic Zone. And I have to say, graphically, gameplay-wise, it definitely works really well, and it's a good game. All the graphics seem to be working, all the effects, because there's a lot of effects in that game, and everything seems to be working well as far as that goes. But Comic Zone was also, it was this edgy SEGA game and it was the last really big game for the Genesis to come out. And one of the big things about it was the music. The music was just really cool. And unfortunately, the sound for Comix Zone is just not good. I played it with headphones. I played it on my phone speakers. I tried both just to see if my phone speakers were messing up or my headphones were messing up, either or. And it sounded the same on both. It was just kind of garbled and kind of, I mean, it was really tinny, and it did not sound. I mean, it sounded kind of like Comix Zone, I guess, knowing how that's supposed to sound. But if I was the first time I had played the game, and I didn't know any better, I would think that the sound for that thing was just absolutely horrid. So, you know, I really, really hope that Sega can get that patched out and figure out how to emulate the sound better, because there's emulators that emulate that game flawlessly on mobile devices. And speaking of mobile devices, SEGA Forever is, at least at the moment it seems, solely restricted to mobile devices, and that's not something I fully understand, but I have a guess, because there's the ad-supported version of each of the games, and then there is the premium version, which I think is $1.99 per game, pretty much, and you can buy it, you can upgrade the app or the game from inside the app, you know, in-app purchases, all that kind of thing. And honestly, I would pay $2 for, you know, a game that, you know, I really want, and I just want to have it on my mobile. And also, you know, phones are touchscreen, and most of these games are not made for touchscreen controls. I mean, Sonic I was horrible at. Altered Beast I was horrible at. Kid Chameleon kind of worked just because it's the kind of game it is, and honestly I was surprised, but Comix Zone kind of works too. But that's obviously not the right way to play these things. You want to be able to use a Bluetooth controller, and I think part of the reason that Sega went this way, instead of, you know, putting these things out on Steam or on the Switch or on the Xbox or on the PS4 or the 3DS or whatever, is simply because phones are so versatile. You've already got them wherever you want, wherever you are. You're not necessarily don't necessarily have to take a handheld or a console with you or something like that. And this lets them hit as many people as possible with all of these classic games, and, you know, up their brand recognition really for nothing at all, because it doesn't really cost them that much to port a game, I'm sure. I mean, of course, I'm no expert on that, but I can't imagine it costs them that much to port a game to Android and iOS that's already coded, and they just have to figure out how to make it basically build their own custom emulator for it, which, like I said, is hit or miss depending on the game. But it seems like a pretty good investment for them, and I think that's probably why they did the mobile thing, and honestly, I'm fine with that, because you know what? We didn't have it before, and now we have it now. So, I mean, in my opinion, there's really nothing to complain about. You know, does it have room for improvement? Absolutely. You know, again, the sound on Comix Zone was just super disappointing. But as far as the games themselves, you know, and I've got an Android device, and Android generally is a little more buggy than iOS. I really had no major like bugs or flaws or anything like that. So I was actually pretty impressed and pretty pleased with the download. And, you know, I really hope the Sega Forever thing sticks, because I'd love to see, you know, a ton of awesome games. I'd love to see some of those Virgin Disney games on my Android. That would be really cool. I kind of doubt that would happen with licensing from Disney and all, but hey, I can dream. So that's about it. That's about what I think about Sega Forever. I really kind of hope that it sticks around. That would be really, really nice. But you guys tell me what you think in the comments. I'm sure somebody's going to disagree with me on something, or you may agree with something that I said. But either way, sound off in the comments. I'll keep an eye on them and try to respond. And until then, make sure you mash that like button on the video if you like it. And also hit that subscribe button, which is actually even more important than the like thing. But until next time, I will see you guys later, and you have a good night.